Good morning, everyone. How are you today? All right. Good to get going here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Coffee Time Career Chat. And if this is your first time joining us, my name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. All those words mean I love being the brains behind the scene, helping professionals, particularly professional women, to get to the next level in their not just their careers, but their lives overall, right? Um, and by achieving, their goals in an empowered way, making sure that they are utilizing all the resources at their, that are available to them, particularly their professional relationships, and so that we can do so purposefully and authentically, and while staying true to our values. So, anyway, good morning to you all. I hope that wherever you are staying warm. It's a little chilly here in Central Texas. So if you're in a warm spot, well, I'm a little jelly. So anyway, today is the last Monday in January, and I decided to end it on the note that's going to play a great deal of interest and a role, I should say, play a increasing role in my conversations this year with you all, and that is that of making sure that you develop a strong career action plan. Because one of the things that I've learned in working with my clients over the years is so often they have goals, yes, and desires about how to get to and achieve certain things, but not necessarily having pulled it all together into a plan that is actually, strategic, uh, very specific about where to go next. And not just that, but big picture. That's really the piece of it, right? Big picture, taking a big picture look at things so that, when you get knocked off the path with the unexpected things that happen all the time, you still remember, wait, I have a plan. Like, I don't have to start this from scratch. And I say this because yours truly has been, the greatest violator of that down through the years. And I'm pretty, hardcore about sticking with my plan. So that said, it's a practice and it's a habit, but it's a practice and a habit you can't even engage in if you don't have a plan to start with, right? So that's why I want to share this with you a little bit, and also to prep you for some opportunities that are going to be coming up for real this year, because I'm gonna make it happen. So um, if you don't stay through to the end, then make sure and check in the comments, because um, to DM me about the audio course that about empowering, how we're going to empower you and your career with the 5 strategies for a successful career in any economy. Okay, so that's the teaser. So here's this. I've already said this career action plan is not the normal, hey, do this, get this, right? Because it actually goes beyond that. There is some of that, right? You got to have some strategies in order to implement, but it goes a step beyond that, because anyone who has watched me, has followed my content over the years, knows that I am not focused on your helping you get your next job. That is very short-sighted. And it's difficult to work with folks who that's their only focus. And I get it, right? I've been there where it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do next? And I have to do this because, we all have bills to pay. We have, a desire for some level of stability financially, all of these things, not downplaying that at all. But when you get caught up in taking action only on what the next job is, you lose out on the opportunity to plan your future and what that one job looks like in the context of your future overall. Kind of like that, right? So let's talk about your future, not just the next job. And when you talk about your future, that means that you have to have a little bit beyond the next 3 months, 6 months, maybe even 12 months in mind. And again, that can be difficult, or if you are straight in the middle of a job loss right now. But in actuality, this is a great time to have this conversation, to do the work, because you're in a point of transition already. And so take advantage of it. It's actually a fantastic opportunity to address your professional growth. Okay. So when we're talking about looking at your career and not just the next job, that means we're looking at whatever the next position is, but also in the context of the next 3, 5, 10 years, maybe, right? And that may seem like a lot, but time is flying these days. And not just in aspects of time by months and years, but also by your goals and what it is you want to achieve in your career, in your personal and professional growth. Because the days of pigeonholing and putting things in a little box and compartmentalizing, that's really the word I'm looking for. Compartmentalizing are pretty much over, right? We're not flat Stanleys. That's something I always say. We are multi-dimensional beings, and there's a lot going on any given day that feeds into who we are and who we are developing and becoming, both personally and professionally. So that said, why not incorporate that into your action plan? So this is why, in actuality, when I'm working one-on-one with my clients, I'm always talking about your strategic action plan, whether it's for your business or whether it's for your career, but it's for you, right? It's a you plan that takes into account all of your interests currently, all of those desires and goals that you have been working towards, or maybe you've put a few aside, right? We're going to pull those things in and have a chat about where you stand with them right now and how you can incorporate pursuing those things and those items on a regular basis, on a daily basis, even when you start breaking it down and not just getting overwhelmed by the big picture. All right. So basically, we're talking about taking a long-term look on your career, on your business, right? Not just the next, 12 to 18 months. And if you really want to transform your career and where you're headed, then you're going to do some of the things we're talking about here. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to engage in it a little bit further, more one-on-one. So here's what it looks like when you're ready to take that next level step and engage in some action and take some action that's really going to transform who you are now and who you are for the future. First thing is you have to engage in the reflection. I know I am a broken record on this. I am truly. You have to engage in the reflection on your overall professional and personal goals. Not just, oh, here's my New Year's resolutions. We don't talk about resolutions here. I gave those up a long time ago. We talk about goals because your goals can shift. They can, change in their flow. Sometimes the goals may actually be accomplished sooner rather than later. And then you're like, well, what am I supposed to do next? Right. So if you put a timeline on your goal and you achieve it earlier, what have you done to build in already knowing what you're going to do next or where you're going to head next? And sometimes this is where people fall off or trip up because they haven't had that thought. They haven't engaged in that work. They've just said, oh, this is the next goal. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get it. And that's fantastic. And then if they really have gone all in, have done the work, then they look up and they're like, oh, what am I supposed to do next? Because I really don't know. I've literally had this conversation with a client or two of mine where they're like, I didn't honestly think I would get there that fast. And one of the things I tell people, I think this came up in a presentation I made one time in a Q&A session. And someone asked, I've really been on top of my goals and I've actually, accomplished them earlier, like so much faster and sooner. So what does that mean? And, it's going to sound like I'm being a little poo-poo, but I'm not. I'm like, it means you didn't reach outside your comfort zone more than likely, and your goal wasn't big enough. Imagine that. Imagine that you set a goal, but you set it at a comfortable level. It wasn't a stretch goal. Because when you have to stretch, there's a level of being uncomfortable. There's a level of maybe being even a little scared. And that's not a bad thing, right? It's facing that challenge can help you as you grow professionally. So that's what I want to challenge you to do and think about, is to engage in that reflection time that's going to include talking about what are your current goals? Where do you think you can be in 3, 6, 9, 12 months, right? And are these all within your comfort zone, or are any of them a stretch for you? But you can't get there if you're not even engaging in that level of thinking or that level of thought and reflection about, what if I actually achieve my goal sooner rather than later, right? What are you going to do next? So that's the first thing. If you want to really transform your career, you really must engage in the reflection time and do that work. And not just at the beginning of the year, because transformation can happen at any time of the year. I love that. How about that? Y'all know I like to get little quotes here, so I will use them later. Transformation can occur at any time, right? Not just at the beginning of a year. So set yourself up for that success so that you can get to where you want to be sooner. Or if the flip is it gets extended, maybe there are some other things that show up along the pathway that help to redirect you or help to build you out in a different way, right? It goes both ways. What are you going to do if it gets extended? What are you going to do if there's something that comes along and seems to interrupt, right? What are you going to do with that? And these are the spots where people fall off. These are those moments. So I encourage you to do that. The second thing is taking a strategic look backwards and forwards in the short term and the long term. And a lot of times it probably falls into one or the other, right? People will take a look backwards, not to just see what they can learn from it, but more than likely to lament about something that happened, right? And instead of taking a look back to say, these things happened, good or bad or indifferent. What can I learn from that? And how can I take it forward into where I'm going? The flip side is if someone's like in denial about what happened in the past and they only want to look forward without taking that look back, that can be just as damaging, right? Because there's so much we can learn from taking that look back and being really open and honest with ourselves about it and laying it out there to help direct your path. Because there are some things that happen in our past that help us realize and decide, I don't want to do that anymore. that's not really where I'm headed. That's not what I want to do. And so again, it's like, okay, well, if that's not what I want to do, then what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? How do I want to get there? Right. So it's taking that strategic look forwards and backwards for the short and the long term. And the key to all of this, that's presumed, but I'm going to say it outright, is you're writing it down. None of this means anything if you're sitting back with your cup of coffee and just thinking about it. And it's like, oh, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do better. You could have some really great thoughts and some great reflection, but if you don't capture it in writing, you have nothing to reference back to when it's time to take action. Okay. I'm the queen of journals. I have journals for everything. And it is always fascinating to me for me to go back and pull out some of my old journals for business purposes, the ones where I was engaged in some professional development, let's say. And so I have journals from that and lessons I've learned. And when I pull those out, especially if I'm at a point where I'm feeling a little stuck, and I pull those out, I'm like, I've already been here. Like, I've done this work mentally before. I've done this work emotionally before. So it helps me to revive myself, to remember I'm not doing something for the first time and that I'm not starting from ground zero. So let's take a look back at where I was then and how can I get myself updated to where I am right now. Okay. It's great work. I highly recommend it. Okay, so that's the second thing. Make sure you take that strategic look backwards and forwards, all right, for the short and long term. The third thing is take into consideration the activities that you're engaging in that can provide an impact and contribute to the goals that you're trying to set. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about my thing of people, places, and activities, right? What are those things? Who are the people that you need to engage with? Who are the people you need to bring along this path? Who are the people that perhaps you need to step away from? Because that happens a lot. And a lot of time people don't want to do that because that's hard. But the truth is everybody's not meant to be to go along with you on that high level plane ride. And that's a whole other mindset conversation that we can have. Been there, done that. It's a tough one, right? But it happens, especially if you are ambitious, if you are goal oriented, and you have big audacious goals, right? It's gonna take some shifting, a lot of shifting actually, with the people in your life, not just professionally but personally as well. So who are those people? Where are the places that you need to be? Where are the places that you should be showing up? How should you be showing up in those places? Should you be showing up in those places right now? Or is this more of a 3, 6, 9, 12-month goal? And the reason why this matters is because everything's not going to happen right now. Okay. So for example, perfect example is there is a board that I decided some years ago that I wanted to be on. And I knew the timing wasn't right just then. And I was a little frustrated at one point, but I'm like, no, just chill. It'll come if it's meant to be. So it's on my list. I keep a list, right? I've always been very active on community. Serving on local nonprofit boards is absolutely a game changer in developing your professional relationships long term. You learn a lot about people when you serve with them on these boards. You get a lot of professional level experience in things that you may not have even thought about. I mean, for example, people think I've done fundraising in my life. And I'm like, no, I've just served in my professional career. I'm like, no, I've just served on a lot of fund development committees in the nonprofit boards. And why is that? Not because I'm like this big person, big about, raising money, but it's because I'm an idea person, right? I'm willing to think outside the box about how we can do something new or different that will bring resources into an organization. Therefore, I end up on fund development a lot, right? Down through the years. It has paid off a lot for me because I've learned so much from people who are the professionals, but then also as I'm sitting in these roles, okay? You can't do that if you don't put yourself in those places, if you don't have a list or have some goals about where you want to be, the places you want to show up. So fast forward to today, in the last week or so, guess what? I get contacted about, hey, we want to know if you are ready to serve on this board. And so I'm super excited. I'm like, yes, I'm still interested. And yes, I do want to do it. And so I am now in the pipeline to serve on this board before the year is out, right? I did not know when it was going to happen. I just knew that it was on my list of places that I wanted to be able to have an impact on and to show up. And now it's coming to pass. Okay? All a part of why it's important to track these things, to write them down, and acknowledge how they fit into your overall goals, plans, professionally and personally. Okay? And I keep saying personally because sometimes the things that we want to do and we engage in is to help us, because being well rounded actually helps us professionally as well. So if I know that one of my goals is to travel more extensively in the future, well, I'm going to put myself in a space with people who travel a lot so I can learn something about that. But guess what? That's also going to play into other opportunities that come along the way. It diversifies my relationships with people. That's a whole other conversation. It diversifies the types of people that are in my network. All of these things. None of these things, again, are standalone things. They are interwoven. They're interconnected, but only if you develop a plan of action that helps it to work for you. Okay. That's the other thing. The structure may be uniform, but the input is very deliberately unique to you. Okay. And then lastly, what type of activities? What are the things that you should be doing, that you want to be doing, that are going to help support you in these goals, long term, short term, all of those things. Okay. So take a consideration for people, places, and activities that you are engaging in currently, that you have engaged in, and how that feeds into where you want to be and what you want to do next. And then lastly, taking that consistent action and getting some accountability built in. Yes. Consistency, consistency, consistency. It is becoming less of a thorn in my side, but it's not without a lot of practice and not without a lot of accountability, whether it's built in accountability with certain checks and balances that I may have for myself, or accountability because I have asked someone like, hey, I need for you to give me a check, in 3 months, right? Literally just this morning, having a conversation with one of my biz buddies, who's checking on me about some work that I've said I'm going to be doing. I'm like, yeah, these different things have been going. And when she asks, how can I help? And I'm like, you know what? Just keep checking in. Like, I literally need that, right? For the support, and to know that I'm not alone in seeking out those goals and wanting to achieve those things, and knowing that there's someone out there who's going to say, hey, Trisha, you said you wanted to do X. Where are you on that? Right. And we can get that accountability from various sources, from friends, sometimes, right? Depending on what it is, who really get it, right? From colleagues, right? That's that peer-to-peer type of accountability that can happen. You can get it, from, if you have a business partner. You can get it if you have a mentor or you hire a coach, or if you're part of a mastermind. All of these places and things, whether it's free or paid, are worth making sure to engage with so that you can have someone checking in and build up a consistent level of activities and actions that will lead you to your goal over time. All right. Because the things that are going to slow us down are going to happen. It's just the way it is. Stuff that's going to slow us down is going to happen, and or something can come along and really speed things up in a way that you weren't even expecting. And so you're going to need some people, a person, a resource to check in with in order to get some advice about what to do next. Okay, so there we are. Those are the big picture tactics for strategies for developing a strong career action plan. This is the stuff I do when I work with people one-on-one, for in a whether it's in a VIP manner or in a long-term coaching. We work through what their action plan looks like for themselves, both professionally or for their business. And I say their business, it's really about who they are and how they think in their business. Because I always say, I'm not a business coach, but I am a strategist. And from that viewpoint, when people have reached out to me, it's because they're like, yeah, no, you think way more strategically, and I need some of that to help feed what I'm going to do next. Okay. So those are the things. And for those of you who are interested, that audio course that I've been talking about for a minute, we are getting ready to launch it for real. Okay. So keep an eye out this week for more information and for the links. If you are interested in actually incorporating some level of this transformation into your life and into your career in an expedited way. So this is a 5-week audio course meant for flexibility and growth, with some built-in weekly coaching from me, right? It's a great opportunity, and it's the time that you need in order to teach yourself and learn how to manage your career in a way that is supportive of you and where you want to be and what you want to do. Okay. So DM me, hit me up in the comments if you want to learn more about it. Because it is coming. We will be launching here but at the end of, we're not in February yet. Okay. At the end of February, to get started, it will be a 5-week course that's really focused on how to build a career plan that works for you and will work for you in any economy. Really and truly, the strategies you need to set yourself up for success, regardless of what the economy is doing. Okay. And that's how we approach it. All right. So any questions, let me know, reach out and we can talk. I'm super excited about it. Or if you're like, no, I really need some one-on-one time, let's have a conversation about that and what that can look like, whether it's a short-term, immediate need or one that you would like to invest in over time. That's what we have for you today. Have a fantastic rest of your day and week, and I'll talk with you soon. Talk with you all soon. Bye.